Hello,
Dr. Reitman. Hello, dear viewers. In our program, we are in our first steps of Kabbalah. We are going to be asking questions of beginners. We would like to discuss a very special time that we have every year, and it has a spiritual root. It's called Sefira, Omer, the counting of the Omer. It's a special period in the Jewish calendar. And we know that every tradition that we are accustomed to in our life has a spiritual root. It has nothing to do with time or place, but it states that we go through. Dr. Leitman, Rav Leitman, what is Sefira Omer? It's a counting of the degrees. After a person has come out of his egoistic will to receive, in order to receive, and transitions to a special journey that he rises in spirituality, and in these rungs of the ladder he receives new forces that he counts. So he counts these degrees, and these degrees are from Malchut to Bina. When he gets in his will to receive, that was in order to receive, he places a restriction on it and starts to count the changes, the corrections, and rises from Malchut to the degrees of Zeranpin, Chesed, Gvura, Yesod, Chod, and Gvura, and he rises to the degree of Bina. And in Bina, he has the strength to bestow. And when he has the strength to bestow, then this is a place, this is a spiritual state that he can receive the upper light in order to bestow, that is called the giving of the Torah. And this is what we need to go through in spirituality. And parallel to that, we celebrate these days in corporeality. We mark them on the calendar. So we have 7 times 7, which is 49 days. These are the countings of Zeranpin, that is between Bina, that is the quality of bestowal. That's why we celebrate Shavuot with milk products and other products of giving, and Pesach, where we don't have any force of bestowal, where we don't even have water in the unleavened bread, the matzah. And when we receive these qualities of the will to receive that's dry, and we rise to the good, and these are 49 days that we celebrate. We also have Lag BaOmer, which is the 33 days from the Exodus from Egypt, which is also a special day. We make these special corrections in the quality of bestowal, and then we finish by continuing from 33 to 49. Gilad, let's have a bit of order here. Where we go, we have the will to receive that says we can't have anything more in Passover, and then what? Yes, that's the start of Passover, the eve of Passover. Gilad, so what does it mean that he starts to see that there's something more? He sees that his will to receive is a bad force that controls him, and he has to resist it, and with all his strength he needs to run away from it. This is the recognition of evil that we are finally getting to, and when we get to it, it's called that we are ready for the exodus from Egypt. Gilad, what does it mean that the will to receive will agree to it? Rav, he sees that it's bad for it. What does that mean? Rav, it means that it's bad to be in that quality of the will to receive. Gilad, but Pharaoh doesn't die, he didn't just kill himself. He says that, what? Rav, he says we don't destroy Pharaoh and his qualities. We stop using Pharaoh in the way that we were using it to receive in order to receive. Gilad. So he says he doesn't want anymore, he lets it go, and he says, okay, that's not good anymore. Okay, so a day isn't a day. What is a day? What is a day that we count a day and another day? Well, that the light illuminates and the darkness that we had instead of the light, we have a new quality that comes and we correct it. Gilad, so it's a new degree. Every day is a new degree that's really starting from zero. Rav, yes. Gilad, and we're counting them. We say one and one more. Rav, yes. If you open the Siddur, the prayer book, you see in the section about Sefira to Omer that you are counting this day for this and that reason, with this and that quality, and that's why I'm correcting it now. These are really corrections. Gilad. So after a week, something happens. We call it the Kriyat Yam Suf, the parting of the Red Sea. What is this called? What is this quality? What happens in this Passover time? Passover isn't just one moment. What's happening there? What changes there? Pharaoh let it go. What more can be done? Rav, this is the final exodus from Egypt. Because still, there's a cyclical nature to the system that we have in the 7 days of the week. The whole matter is to attain the qualities of Zeranpin from Malchut. And that's why we count 7 qualities, 7 degrees from Malchut to Zeranpin, and that's why we count these 7 days. So the first 7 are Chesed, and then we end the 7th day, and then we part the Red Sea. What happens there that is different than before?
Rav,
we came out of Egypt. We came out of the control of Egypt, the control of Pharaoh, where we were all dependent on him and we all were controlled by him. And so we had 7 days. And it was a week of matzot, the unleavened bread. It was a week that we behaved differently. Then we returned to the correct regular behavior because we disconnected from Pharaoh, and now we are in more advanced corrections. Gilad, let's say we take the whole counting of the Omer, because the first week is very critical, because it's the time that we exit Egypt. Yes, and then there's all the critical moments that happen until Lag BaOmer. It's the counting of the 33rd, when we really receive all of the kilim, the vessels of bestowal. And what's left is what will be added to us, that they don't come out themselves. Okay, Gilad, I would like to talk about the miracle of the Exodus from Egypt. What is this miracle? What happens in our language? We don't have a greater miracle than the Exodus from Egypt, because we discover how much we are in the will to receive in order to receive, and how much it controls us and doesn't let us come out of it, to such an extent that I have no other thought, no other desire that won't be in the control of Pharaoh. But then what happens is that slowly, I start to attain it, that I am in the control of Pharaoh. And I disagree with it. I don't want to be under his control. And this is the moment before the exodus of Egypt. That's why we're willing to jump into the Red Sea. We're willing to go through anything just to disconnect from the will to receive in order to receive. Gilad, so then disconnect from it and we go out to the desert. And I'm willing to go out to the desert. That the desert is a place that really they have nothing there. But I'm willing. Because the nation of Israel, the people of Israel, those people who wanted to make the spiritual corrections are jumping into the Red Sea, Yam Suf, and it shows that they're willing to die instead of staying on the enslavement of the will to receive, the ego. Rav, so this is a complete devotion. Rav, compared to what we had in Egypt, where we loved Pharaoh, we loved to receive. And we thought it was good for us. It's like today, people live in... They live with all their lives, and they think that it's good to be in this way, in this competition, and with this whole life that we're living. Yeah. Gilad, so in the desert, wait, before the desert, one more point. This exodus, this exit, this happened from a person or from above? What does a person need? How do you attribute it? What's happening here? What is this foreign nature? Of course, the whole program comes to us from the upper force, from the Creator. But together with that, we understand that there cannot be anything that will happen without our agreement, because we need to come out of Egypt. We need to jump into Yam Suf, into the Red Sea. The Creator organizes everything for us. It's the upper force. He brings us, He guides us through all of these states so that we are willing to jump into the Yam Suf, the Red Sea. Gilad, so this is some kind of agreement? Rav, yeah, it's not just an agreement, it's a demand that I want it. Gilad, so like I said, I want to agree even above my reason. Rav, yes. Okay, so we have gone out to Egypt and we have these corrections. What are these corrections? We've come out of the ego, and now what? Rav, no, you've only disconnected from it, but the ego remains. From disconnection, you need to take all of these desires, and it's 9 desires from Malchut to Bina, 7 times 7, and then you correct them one by one in order to bestow. You need to make a restriction, you need to have a masach, you need to have the Or Chozel, the returning light. Gilad, so after we do that, then there's an even greater one, an even stronger one. Rav, yes. Gilad, so this happens day after day. Gilad, Rav, yes. Gilad, so then we come to this holiday we talked about, the Lag BaOmer. So what's the difference between 33 and 49? The matter is that the 33rd day is a special day because after we come to the 33rd day, then we will certainly get to the 49th day. 7 times 7. And we will complete all of the corrections, that we will get to a state that's called Shavuot, the holiday Shavuot, or the receiving of the Torah. So we call it Hod to Hod. This kind of quality is correction that accumulate, and we know the priority there. And so we can be sure that the rest will be doable. Rav, yes. Gilad. So then we come to Shavuot, where we have 3 very special days before. that everyone gathers and understands that they have to be as one man with one heart. Yeah, we have 3 days like that where we differentiate them because we correct ourselves in these upper Sefirot, that we will be ready for the returning light, for the reforming light. Yeah. And then comes the receiving the Torah. What is the receiving the Torah? It means that we receive light that illuminates from above. It's a force like that corrects the will to receive, to be in order to bestow. And it does it gradually, step by step. And the reception, the receiving of this force that can have this action happen in me is called the force of the Torah. Torah is light. And when the upper light illuminates, then I have a restriction, so that I will be using this force not in order to egoistically receive, but I'm receiving an ability to rise above myself, and by that I rise above it. Okay, so I would like to talk about this timeline. This timeline that can be considered as a connection between us. People who want to get to this connection. What happens? What happens day to day? In the development of what we call 10 between us, or this work that we have between us. Rav, how it goes on with us? Gilad, yes, in the relations between us. Rav, is that we get to Passover and we discover our will to receive that wants to pass over. It wants to go over the ego in order to use our ego. We have to use it because we are that desire. But we want that desire to be in order to bestow, instead of in order to receive that takes advantage of others. And that's why this exodus from Egypt on Passover means that we are willing to rise and get to a state that's it's good enough to die, that you're willing, that you don't want to be in order to receive anymore. You're willing to just exit. You're willing to die if it means leaving it. And that's one thing. And the second thing is that I am willing to have all of the restrictions just not to be in order to receive. And then I check myself to see each and every one of my desires, to see if it's according to the counting of the Omer. I do it according to the counting of the Omer, and I see that I'm counting the qualities. Yep. And by this I advance. Chesed in Chesed, the Gvura that's in Chesed, and so on. Then after I have these corrections, then I connect them together, and I can start. And on the 49th day, I get to a state that they're all tied together, they're all connected, and I can start receiving in them the upper light in order to bestow. So this whole process is to be as one man with one heart, that we'll be really feeling it and ready for it, and we can say that we will be in mutual guarantee one for the other. Yes, it's a process that a person goes through that happens in spirituality in a way that they accept things and it passes on them and they're willing to be in spirituality. And it's also called as gates. There's 49 gates, and then there's the 50th gate. What does it mean? That's the way it's called because he gets to a state that he enters a place. He enters a place where he starts to work with the upper light. It's like a gate that he passes through. He goes under it into something new. Yes. Okay. Now I would like to start to talk about something that's more to do with what we're going through. Years ago there were these futurists who like to predict the future, to say that humanity has overcome everything. There won't be any more hunger. There won't be any more. There won't be any more wars. And they had this. They tried to tell the future and say that this is what would happen. But now we're in a state that we have hunger. It's probably going to increase. There's going to be famine, like you spoke about, and others have spoken about. And there'll be famines. There'll be plagues. Like we can see now with the coronavirus, it's really stopped the entire world. So in the Sfirat Omer, the counting of the Omer, is also symbolized by a state that the students of Rabbi Akiva died to a plague. 40,000 people died in this period. Rabbi, do you see history repeating itself? Rabbi Akiva wasn't in the Exodus from Egypt. He was 2,000 years after. It happened. And in these times, every time, there's all these phenomena that happen. Why do these bad things happen in the times that people do the corrections? Shouldn't it be good and happy? It's so that they do corrections. We want to invert it. The person wants to correct, and then all these bad things happen. And it happens. You see that these bad things happen so that you will correct. Good. So why is this a time of mourning and all these? It's not exactly mourning. It's these corrections that we do in the Exodus of Egypt, because we're in these states that come to us from the lights of Egypt, and we started to work with our will to receive in order to receive, and now we don't want to work with the will to receive in order to receive in our ego, but we have not gotten to a state yet that we have the force of bestowal that only comes to us after Shavuot, that we have this state of Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah, and then we have the force of bestowal, and we're able to work with our qualities in order to bestow, and then we are in the state of in between. And this lights, we're not entering them yet, and that's why this period of time is called Lag BaOmer. And that's why in this time we don't have weddings, we don't have haircuts, we don't have all of these kind of stuff. This is kind of a state of katnut, smallness. We don't make new songs. We do this to mark a special time that we were doing all these corrupted things in Egypt, and that's one thing, but they were pushing us towards correction. But now we are still in this limbo state, we're still in this period of waiting. And that's why we don't rejoice, but we feel this mourning. Is there a reason? Is it not? Shouldn't we be happy for coming out of Egypt? No, we can't say that we have come out of Egypt yet, because we have not gotten to a state that we can use the vessels of Egypt, of will to receive in order to bestow. So what's the point of it? We come out of it, but we haven't entered anything yet. So we don't have the desires that we had in Egypt, and we can't use it correctly. Rav, yes. So in this in-between, we are in this state of katnut, where we don't get married, we don't have a haircut, and all these other kind of things. Rav, it sounds kind of like you're torn. You're not here and you're not there. Rav, yes, it's a transition. There's many discernments here that... Rav, yes, it's a time period that's very serious that we go through, but it's the work that we have with the upper lights. Do we need to make these corrections? Okay, so let's go back and ask, what is a plague? What was this that Rabbi Akiva had? He discussed this in a very interesting way. And because we're not doing the corrections so that we brought to this suffering, Right. No, I didn't talk specifically about the students of Rabbi Akiva, but in our time, yeah, there too it was like that. But it was also, it wasn't quite for now. We can't really explain it now. It's not belonging to us quite. There's a reason for every sorrow. It's not exactly what's going on with us. The students of Rabbi Akiva were great sages, but there was a descent from this upper state to a corporeal state, from brotherly love to unfounded hatred, and that's why they came to their plague and died. And for us it's different. We don't have any brotherly love, we just have unfounded hatred, and we need to get to it. Yes, we're not in a plague. There's a few dead here and there. It's even less than the time before the coronavirus. But we're in a state that we need to learn, that we need to change. Can we say that we're in this transitory time? And that we'll see that we'll have all these changes and new discernments happening. Yes, of course we will. Of course, we are still waiting for more and more of these degrees and to see what's happening. We're not having haircuts. We're not doing the things that this virus is forcing us to do. That we really need to bestow to one another and be satisfied with less. And that we want to be guided towards the changes that are happening in humans and the connections between us. We're not thinking about it yet. We don't see it yet. And that's why we have a few more blows that are going to come to us. We know that everything has a purpose. That there's this upper providence. What do we need to get to? Not so that we won't have to really have this, not with all of the blows, but that we'll really have a better time. But we have to understand that it all happens from above, that it's an integral system, a global system, and that we are in the system, and we can't run away from it. And the nature is demanding from us to also be connected together like nature. We need to be like this system. And if we won't do it, then we will suffer. That's one thing. And second, we need to be connected between us as one man with one heart. We need to be connected in such a way that between us we are relating to nature like it relates to us, with love and with connection. And we need to connect in such a way to bestow to nature in this way of love and connection. We must not use nature for our own egoistic desires, all these things that we want, do all these things that just come to us that we want. We need to get to a state that our attitude to nature is one that's very precious, because it's a system that demands from us, obligates us to really make these corrections. Gilad, it's very interesting, all these points that you're raising, and we can really go into detail here. But I would like to summarize, to conclude our meeting, that's on the counting of the Omer, the Sefira Omer. Do you see some kind of restrictions that we need to make? Like in this transitory time between this period of time, can you compare it to something that's happening with us, where we have this desire, this old thing that we're entering, and we're entering something new? Who's going to build it? Our governments, that they're only thinking about how they can get back into how they're going to enrich themselves, and so on and so on. No, we are not building a new foundation that will give us a new world. And that's why ahead of us, sadly, we're going to have more blows that are going to get closer and closer, and we will have to be ready for it and answer them in a way that it might correct us. We have to be more connected and be as one man with one heart, loving our neighbor as thyself. And we need to get closer to this. Only then will it be a good time. Gilad, thank you very much. Rav Leitman. Rav, good luck to everyone.